put an example. So I have put in here a month over month long-term headcount numbers, which I think you can also get it from your capacity plans. It can be the weekly green also. And yeah, so then I figure out what is my minimum week of percentage in a week. So for example, let's say there's a working which we have already done to figure out that how many people usually get a week off on a one particular day. So let's say 12%. It is a 5 days operations where we get 2 week offs for each individual. So let's say this is 12% is my minimum week off percentage, which I think we can get it from R5. Then we look at the absenteeism. We don't look at the average. I again prefer to go for the minimum. So let's say 8% is the minimum. Your historical data has suggested that it has never gone below the 8%, or there's a commitment that we will maintain at the 8% at the minimum. So this becomes your number. Now, just to do these calculations, we will have a couple of more calculations to be done. So, and we'll try to do that way. So let's look at the second number. Once you have this 8% number given, what do you get here? Expected present count. You may not need this. I'm just doing it for just explaining purpose. So out of 735 folks into, if you exclude your week of percentages, you will primarily schedule 646 folks, out of which you will again exclude 8% of absenteeism or a shrinkage. So you'll get 595 people present to be in office. Now, when we say the present to be in office, sorry, when we say 595 is expected present count to be in office, this will be a number. Now, what happens? If you're operating with the multiple shifts, so let's say I'll take an example of the 3 shifts. Let's say one shift is 8 to 5. There's another shift which is starting at 1 to 10, correct? And let's take another example, a shift which is starting at 1700 hours to 200 hours, correct? So 17 to 200 hours. So now let's say whatever the percentage, so then they have to figure out how this 595 people usually get spread into these shifts. So let's take an example that you get 20% people in this particular shift. Then you get another 30% people in this particular shift, and you get 50% people in this shift. Now, which means when you start plotting these peoples between 8 to 5 intervals, and let me do that for you guys. I'll start the interval at 00 hours. 00, and then we'll start with 01. Okay, I'll do it slightly 0:00. Then I'll do 1 hour. I'm just doing it for the 1 hour. You can do it for the half an hour if you want to do this. Okay. Okay, so let's say this is the frame which is comes. This is my interval, right? And now I'm saying I get 20%. I'm just taking a 1 week example just to show you. That's a 1 month example. 595 into 20% is this number. 595 into 30% comes to around 178, and into 50% comes to these numbers. So basically, I have 119 folks which are starting their shift here, and assuming this is an 8-hour shifts, so they will do 8 to 5. So I have plotted these for the 9 intervals because they have the 9 hours of shift. Then 178 folks starts their shift at 1 to 10, like this number, correct? And then there's another shift of 297 people starting their shift from here. Correct, and it is coming till 2 o'clock. So till here. Okay, now there's something missing. I'll make this as a 40% for as of now. And 10% people will do 10 to 7. Yeah, because otherwise there is a coverage challenge there. So 10% of this numbers become another 59. So you will have the people. So one, I'll change this number. This number is 238. Yeah. So 238 this number, then all these numbers becomes 238. Yeah. Then I'm starting a shift at here, which is around 59 or 60 folks. These people will continue their shifts till 7 o'clock, 10 to 7. I think it will become 11 to 8 if I'm not wrong. So let's say I make it as 60 folks here, and I remove this number. So you get the number of people being scheduled. Now you take the sum of it, right? So we figured out the sum comes to these numbers. This is after the absenteeism. Then I pick up what is my max count here. So my max count here in this example is 416, which means to manage 595, I need 416 seats. Now, this 419 is usually the 70% of the number of people what you have scheduled. Correct? This numbers varies from the program. So I'm saying the max seat percentage is 70%. Correct? So if this number is around 70%, and I'll take the same number for all the months, then the number of seats required is 416 or 17. Now, this is the call which you guys have as a program owner, the business owner, whether you want to take the first highest or the second highest, you can still figure out those numbers. Now, when you look at this number, so 595 divided by 416 will give you 1.42 of the SUs. Right? Now, this is a normal scenario. Now let's look at work from home model. And I'm asking everybody to be in office for 3 days, which means 3 divided by 7, which is around 42% people will be in office. So this is your seat required if everybody comes to office. Right? And this is your SU. Now, if you just need 42.85, so basically you will ideally call these many folks to office. So your seat requirement will become the 70% of the 42% of the overall requirement, because you're just calling 42.85% of the folks to office. Correct? So now in this regard, the number of seats what you need becomes 178. You can round up and make it 179 for the first example. So this becomes the number. Now we'll again do one thing. We'll pick up the max of the seat requirement for the year. The max seat requirement for the year is around 214. So that 214 is for this month, where my head count is 713. Right? So if I drag this formula, correct? So you need 214. Now SUs are not calculated. One correction on this number. SUs are calculated on the overall headcount number. So what you achieve is 1.76 here, correct? But if you go by this model, where I'm saying that I'll go by um, these particular numbers for the 42.85% for the each week to ensure that 3 RTOs, my SUs of 713 divided by 214 will give me 3.33. This is the one seat ratio if I'm doing with the work from home. Of the 3 days. If I go beyond 3 days, then this seat requirement numbers becomes my number. Just remember one thing, because if you're doing 3 days work from office and you have 7 days of operation, your SUs should always be greater than 2. If it is less than 2, you're not doing something right. Yeah. Hope this video have been fruitful to you. Thank you very much. If you guys need a template, I can create one slightly better than the way it is looking and can share it across. Just subscribe my channel and then just comment that you need the template. I can create one and share it with you guys. Thank you very much.